Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Old Time Rock and Roll. I'm your host, David Tare, where I've been featuring my personal top 3,000 songs of the rock era from 1954 to 1999. Today I'm up to song number 2729, and that one is Nothing from Nothing by Billy Preston. This was released in 1974. It went to number one, and it was released on his 1974 album the Kids and Me. And first, I'm going to talk about the song Nothing from Nothing. Um, I never really understood what the song meant, by the way. I don't know. It seemed to have kind of a negative meaning to me. It sounded a little snobby, like you got to have something if you want to be with me. So I decided to look it up today, and I guess there's two possible meanings. There's probably a lot more, but one possible meaning is that the type of relationship he was looking for. He wasn't just looking for a woman who didn't, kind of a poor woman who didn't want to have anything and just kind of wanted to latch onto him. He wanted a woman with some money and some means of support. That's one possible meaning. Another meaning, which I think was probably the real meaning. I don't think that the first interpretation is right, because there's a line in the song. He says, "I'm a soldier on the war on poverty." So to me, I think what he was saying was, you shouldn't be a beggar. You shouldn't just be a beggar asking for charity. You have to have something to contribute to society. Which I kind of agree with, actually. I mean, it still sounds a little snobby to me, like we shouldn't be looking for free handouts. But if you keep in mind Gandhi's quote, "We must be the change we wish to see in the world," I can kind of see that. I mean, we can't. We all have to do our fair share to make the world a better place, and that includes contributing monetarily to society. We all should be working, ideally, or at least we all should be trained to do work we can do and get paid for it. So I kind of agree with that interpretation, even though I am a democratic socialist. I don't want to get into that, but anyway, that's I think what he means in this song, and kind of interesting. He says he's a soldier in the war on poverty, and by the way, President Johnson, LBJ, he did declare a war on poverty in the mid to late 60s. He was trying to end poverty in America, and he tried to do it through social programs. And I don't want to get into my political views too much, but I think our country's been going downhill ever since Reagan. I think we became a country for the rich, starting with Reagan. Hopefully, Harris can turn that around. But that's my political pitch for today. I won't go into that anymore. Anyway, yeah, and the other thing I want to say about this song is, I ranked it at number 2729. It sort of barely made my top 3,000. I like it, but it's not, I have a few other songs of his coming up on my list, which came on much higher than this one. Acclaim Music, it did make their list. They have their own list of the top 10,000 songs of all time, and it come in at number 6,551 on their list, lower than mine. So I guess they liked it, but not that much either. But anyway, that's enough about the song "Nothing from Nothing." Now I want to talk about Billy Preston, the the artist who recorded it. Here's a picture of him. He was an amazing musician, by the way. I mean, he's a keyboardist, as you can see. And he was actually a musical prodigy. I learned some stuff about him today, too. I looked him up. He started performing music at age 11. His first live performance, there he is on the left, age 11. You can see he's just a little kid. And he's performing with Nat King Cole on TV. I believe this was on NBC. He sang along with Nat King Cole on Blueberry Hill, which was a very famous rock song by Fats Domino. That one's coming up much later on my list, by the way. Rock and roll classic by any means. But anyway, that was his first live performance, and another notable he performed with many rock musicians. He even performed with the Beatles, and I don't know how many guys know about this, but the Beatles in 1969 they had a very famous performance on the rooftop of the Apple headquarters in London. I think they played like 5 songs on the roof, and Billy Preston joined them for this. And as a matter of fact, they had the number one single "Get Back," which was recorded along with Billy Preston, and even include him in the credits for the song. The Beatles with Billy Preston. And anyway, I just thought I'd mention that. And now I think I'm going to talk about his hits. His hits in the USA, his Billboard Top Hot 100 hits were first one was "Get Back," the one I just mentioned. That was along with the Beatles. That went to number one, like I said. They had another. He had another song with the Beatles, which he also recorded in this session on the roof of Apple headquarters. That was "Don't Let Me Down." That one went to number 35, and then later in '69 he had "That's the way good the way I planned it," and that was a long yeah, that went to number 62. And then 1971 he had a cover of "My Sweet Lord," which was recently a hit for George Harrison of the Beatles. His version went to number one. Billy Preston's only went to number 90. I never even heard his version. I'm sure it's good, but I've just never heard it. He also I wrote a simple song, which went to 77, and "Out of Space," which was an instrumental hit for him, that went to number two. And then in 1972, he had "That's the Way God Planned It," which went to number 65. Slaughter, or the theme from Slaughter, I guess that was a movie. I never saw the movie. That went to number 50. And in 1973, he had his first number one song, "Will It Go Round in Circle." I guess it was a second if you include "Get Back." Anyways, first solo number one, "Will It Go Round in Circles." And then later that year, he had "Space Race," which went to number four. In 1974, he had "You're So Unique," which went to 48. He had the one I'm featuring today, "Nothing from Nothing," which went to number one. And Stratton from Stratton, which went to 22. And then in 1975, he had "Fancy Lady," which went to 71. In 1978, he had another version of "Get Back," which was featured in the movie Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band that came out that year. I never saw that movie. I heard it was a really terrible movie. I don't think I ever will see it. But there were a lot of Beatles covers in this movie, and I guess Billy Preston had one of them, which he actually performed on the original. I guess the version from this movie only went to number 86. In 1979, he had a duet with Cyrita called "With You I'm Born Again," which went to number four. And then in 1980, he had another duet with her called "One More Time in Love," which went to 52. And finally, in 1982, he had "I'm Never Gonna Say Goodbye," which went to 88. So those were his hits. Very prolific artist. Very great musician. I think another thing I mentioned, forgot to mention about the song "Nothing for Nothing." I probably should have mentioned this earlier, but this was actually the first song performed by a musical guest on Saturday Night Live. The very first episode of Saturday Night Live, Billy Preston was the musical guest, and he played "Nothing from Nothing." I think he played two songs on it, but this was the first song he played. I don't know what the other one was. And I actually remember watching this one. So anyway, that concludes my profile of "Nothing from Nothing" by Billy Preston. Thank you for watching. You guys rock, and I'll see you next time. Bye.